In this book, I Am That, the Gautam Maharaj's talks, someone asked him a question about the bliss of non-duality, of Advaita. And his answer was that the bliss of non-duality is of the nature of a great peace. That's all. The bliss of non-duality is of the nature of a great peace. I received an email where I was asked, is there such a thing as diksha in non-duality in Advaita? And if so, do I give it? It is the initiation into peace, which itself is the diksha. Because all of us, whether we know it or not, are looking for peace of mind. And this teaching shows the way to that peace. The teaching itself is the initiation. And living the teaching is its gift. Which leads to peace of mind in daily living. It is not the teaching of one body initiating another body. It is consciousness initiating itself through recognition of its true nature. When enough in life happens which sways us from left to right, right to left, left to right, everyone's intuitive feeling is, I'd rather be at peace. Forget the pleasures of life, because I know they don't last. Behind every pleasure is a pain which is around the corner. And invariably come to the conclusion that what I would truly like is a peaceful day. And if by the grace of God you come across a teaching which shows you the way, then one is blessed. Because one is living it with one's own experience. It is no longer a theory. It is no longer a promise in the future that if you do certain practices, this will be the result. If you lead a certain life in a particular way, this is going to be the outcome. This is living right now. And it is an irreversible process. Once it begins, there is no going back. You may think you're getting stuck along the way, but that is the thinking mind. Once you taste peace of mind, situations will come up in your life and you will not engage with them like you were doing so earlier. Because that peace you have tasted is too precious. You know its worth and value in your own life. Bruce Lee had said that if anything upsets you, just breathe and allow it to pass. That's what starts happening. If someone upsets you, if a situation upsets you, instead of getting embroiled in it through excessive thinking, blaming, condemning, judging, criticizing, just allow it to take its course. That becomes the mantra of life. Let it be, let it go, and let life flow. That is the japa. There is no room left for the thinking mind to play out its usual antics and dramas, which invariably are revolving around others, what others have done to me and what I have done to them. If you just remove that entire content from your consciousness, you will be amazed at the space which is created for the light of presence to shine through. And you accept more and more that life is too vast and complex for my puny intellect to always slice up into cause and effect. Why are things this way? Why are not things that way? You stop living your life that way. I received an email, a very touching one, 3 days ago, by this man who was in, I think Chennai or Bangalore, I'm not sure. So he had gone to the Ramakrishna mission and he found my book there. I have one book of Ramakrishna on non-duality. And so he said, I read your book and I am writing this mail to you because I am newly married. He said, I married 2 years ago. And 2 months ago, me, my parents and my wife were traveling in the car. I was driving. We met with an accident and my wife died. And he said, since then, I am lost because the thought which keeps coming up in my mind is, if I had not driven rashly, which I don't think I drove rashly in any case, if I had not done so, my wife would have not died. So that thought is what was disturbing him tremendously since his wife's passing. And then he listed out some questions. So what has happened is an actual event which will most certainly cause tremendous grief and trauma has got overlaid with a thinking mind which has started holding itself accountable and liable for what happened. So all the time is going and thinking about, if only I had not done this, if only I had not driven that way, if only, etc., etc. And the mind is going into a tailspin of depression. But if you look at, it may sound really absurd, the factors which were needed to come together for the accident to happen, and for only one person out of the four in the car to lose their lives, it becomes very clear that it could not have happened if it was not the will of the divine. It can go back into time of centuries. The road had to be there for you to drive on it. The wheel had to be invented for the cars to be invented. Did you do that? Are you choosing to breathe, or is breathing happening? What were the factors involved that morning when you set out in your car? Who actually decided who will be in the car and who will sit where in the car? This is not trying to give comfort to someone. This is trying to show them that there is truly very little in your control. And when such a setback happens, it could only happen if it was meant to. And then what would happen after that? If this understanding sunk in deeply, from that point on, whenever the thought arises, grief is bound to arise. That is the human nature. But that is no longer overlaid with guilt and shame and hatred for oneself. Space is created. And that is why Maharaj said that try not running away from pain. Try to accept it, and you will see that it can take you to places very deep. And then he says, why? He says, because to accept pain is to deny the self, which is the small self, the me. Because your immediate reaction is to avoid pain. Everyone's reaction, first thing is, I don't want pain. But to accept pain is to go deeper. And when you live in the moment with your grief, you are accepting it. You are not running away from it. And unfortunately, it is loss which brings most of us onto the path. Why? Because it is the loss of something which I considered mine. I don't react the same way if someone else loses their wife in an accident, right? Something which is me and mine, I have lost. the sage has the full understanding that nothing is mine. I've come into the world with nothing, I'm going to go with nothing, therefore in between nothing is mine. That is why the sage is really living his life. He has no fear. He trusts life because he does not see that life is always set up against me and is out to get me and hurt me and traumatize me and brutalize me. He accepts that while I'm on this planet, life is going to swing between pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. That is the journey of life. And that is why my Guru would say the sage is the Mahabhogi. He is the super enjoyer because nobody can enjoy like he does because he enjoys to the fullest. Whereas we don't want to do that because we are afraid that, my God, we've had such a good time, it may not come again. Fear is lurking around the corner. What will happen to me? But before sleeping at night, you don't ask yourself that. Do you ask yourself what will happen to me? No, you think I'm going to have a great night's sleep. You would disappear in deep sleep. The me disappeared in deep sleep, but you had no problem with going to sleep. That is why it says the sage is asleep when he is awake. Asleep to me and my story. And Yogananda said that when you live with this kind of understanding, everyone appears to be dreamlike characters in a dream. Strangers, family, friends, colleagues at work. Why so? Because when you no longer hate, condemn, criticize, judge people, whatever happens does appear dreamlike. When you have the full understanding that nobody truly does anything, and we are all instruments made by God, conditioned by God, designed by God. Everyone is acting and reacting according to the way God made them. then you start viewing everything as an expression of God. Then your war is no longer with individuals in your life. Your battles are no longer personal. Me versus him. When that drops away, it becomes a dream-like living. Because you are not that affected anymore by what happens. It was, I think, in Paul Brunton's book that he had written. He went to Varanasi to study astrology with who was then considered to be one of India's leading astrologers. So one day they were walking in the street and he asked the astrologer, "Do you read your own chart?" And he said, "I used to, but once I had the total acceptance that whatever happens is the will of God, I stopped reading my chart." And you find with time that so much of your energy which used to go in defending your views, arguing with people, all that which was expended, when that no longer happens, one gets more centered. All the outflow of continuous thinking, doing, giving free opinions on each and everything, when that drops away, energy is conserved. That is good health. That is being centered in consciousness. That is when you can truly smell the fragrance of the present moment. Anup, did you get your answer to the email I sent you?
Thank you. It was rooted to practicality of things.
It's a very practical teaching.
It was nice.
So what brings you here, Rafi?
Actually, I follow Ramana Maharshi and his teachings. And my father was an astrologer.
Okay.
Even I am an astrologer.
Wow.
So my father used to follow Ramana Maharshi a lot. He used to sit every morning at it was sort of satsang every morning. 2 hours every morning I used to have satsang with him about actually Advaita only, but
Right.
we never used to know it as Advaita.
Right.
It was like that. So basically he used to tell me just one thing: the whole problem is the mind. He had got once to a sage in Parla called Kothare Maharaj. He was a Maharashtrian. He asked him, भगवान को कैसे पाना है? बोलते कौन भगवान? बोले नहीं भगवान को बोलते पाना ही तो छोड़ना है. फिर एक ही बात बोली, ठीक है आपको समझाने के लिए एक ही बात बोलता, क्या नाम है आपका? शर्मा. धोखा खाली कर दो. जो पाना है पाल लो, करना ही छोड़ना है. The whole problem is the mind.
Yes.
And misidentification with the body, that we are this body. So that is the issue.
So your father got interested in Ramana Maharshi.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was there any reason or just?
My father had a very different life. When he was a child, he used to ask everybody as a child, what is the purpose of life? We are born, we get married, I do some job, then I'll have children, then I'll die. So what is the purpose? They used to, because he was a kid, they used to laugh at him. And then he went into, that was his karma, he went into army, he was a police officer, he was the main security officer of Pandit Nehru.
Achha.
Very close to Pandit Nehru. And then my maternal side is totally from the film industry. Then he came to the film industry. Like he's seen all the shades of life.
Of course.
And then he became a producer. He made 21 Hindi movies.
Okay.
And then after that, when he lost everything, then he realized why I'm doing everything right, why have I lost everything. Then he studied astrology, and then he must have he followed Bhrigu Maharaj.
Right.
Bhrigu Sangha.
Right.
The main sage, Maharshi Bhrigu had made astrology. So he went to Tibet. He went to a monastery. There was a part of the Bhrigu Sangha, which actually the main part was it was in Emperor Ashoka's library. The main Bhrigu Sangha. But after the Mughal invasion, they had destroyed that library. It is in history actually.
Right.
So I forgot the name of that library. And then that part of it was salvaged from there and taken to Tibet.
Okay.
So he went to Tibet, and then he studied astrology with Prithviraj Kapoor, Raj Kapoor's father. He was a great astrologer, Prithviraj Kapoor, because nobody knows that.
Okay.
Then my daddy and one Jagdish Shetty, there was one other, they used to study in Lahore. They used to bunk college and go and study astrology. So there he started. He was interested in college days only. But then he came into army and came into police. So then when he went to Tibet, he found that scripture there. It is amazing. I'd like to share if I
Sure,
that.
absolutely.
He went there, and the monk there showed him that your name is Sharma, right? You've come from this place which is close to the sea. Bhrigu Maharaj, there was a scripture on a leaf that this person will be coming at this time.
Right.
And he will be coming due to mere kripa ke bal se aayega. And then he is going to do a lot of good for people.
This is like the Nadi.
Nadi, something like
that.
that. Because the Nadi is with the fingerprint. Na?
Correct.
So this is basically based on Janam-Puri.
Also, I feel that I met quite a few astrologers. Somehow they come. And they were destined to be astrologers.
Exactly.
Now, one man I met very recently, he came over to the office a month ago. He said that from the age of 6, I think it was 6, it was below 10 for sure, books would pop out of shelves and fall in front of him, and it was connected to planets or to stones. And from that young age, he started getting exposure to all these things. So even that was destined.
Actually, I have a brother. He is a cancer specialist in Texas. He's a very big man there. So actually, my daddy wanted to teach him also, but he was not interested. But in fact, he never taught me. When I used to study in my school, I used to pretend that I am studying, and I used to listen to him, that when he used to do the reading of the charts.
So where did that interest come from? So even that was destined.
That was destined, yes. Exactly. Absolutely right.
Whether you call it prarabdha or
what.
Exactly. That is the beauty. And our tradition was so advanced because astrology was used to see the nature of a child, to see the path best suited to the child and the way the child could bloom forward. So that was the original intent.
Beautiful.
You see?
You are absolutely right. Absolutely. Original intent was that. Yes.
Now it is all about money.
Making money.
And
mystified.
Relationships. When will I get her? When will I get him? Etc. And all these things.
And I am telling you, people come to me and they are absolutely fine. They are doing a very good job. They ask me, you want to have a promotion, you want to be bigger, start. I just tell them one thing, you've come to a hospital, not a gymnasium. So if you have any problem, if you have no job, then you come to me.
Right.
I'll solve your problem, I'll suggest some remedies for you from the chat. So it's like that. Yeah. And there are people coming with lots of problems. In fact, somebody came to me, I'm not boasting my knowledge or anything.
Sure.
I just he came with a friend of his friend. His friend was my client actually. So I just told my friend just to come out with me. I came out from my office and talked to him. I told him this man might commit suicide in a day or two. So No, he's absolutely fine. He's never told me anything. So I just called. He believes me a lot. He called that person. We sat inside together again in the office. And then I asked him. He asked him, "Are you all right? Is everything okay?" Because Guruji is telling that you are mentally very disturbed and you might have self-harming tendencies. So he just started crying and he just came at my feet and sat down. I told him, "Please don't do that." Actually, he was hiding something. His wife left him, and with the child, and he didn't tell anybody in his friend circle. He was living alone, 21-year-old boy. So he told me that yes, I was thinking of committing suicide. So what should I do? I told him there's nothing to do now. You just understand one thing: whatever happens due to previous life karmas. So you have to accept it and give the benefit of, what I tell them, which is very important. Nobody is at fault. He was accusing his wife. The wife was. I told him, no, it is the stars in the previous life or maybe in some other life. You must have been the source of problems for her. Now she is reaping. This is karmic balances.
You see, it is like Vimalananda in his book said that he knew the person who was hell-bent on murdering him.
Right.
But he said, I have the full understanding that she is not doing it, and even the thought which is coming to her is not her thought.
Exactly. Absolutely right.
See, because when you live with this understanding, then the Rinanubandhan starts dissolving.
Yes.
Because when you realize that nobody is truly doing anything, and we are all instruments through whom God's will is operating, the bandhan starts snapping, you see. Because that cause-effect loop is no longer perpetuated. Pointing fingers and blaming and accusing, as you say, that game starts dissolving. And Maharaj had said about suicide, he was also against it. Of course, he knew that if it was destined to happen, it will happen. But when he was asked about it, he said, because, you see, with suicide, you are just dropping your physical body.
Absolutely.
What about the subtle body, where all the problems are still stored?
Yes.
That's going to perpetuate. Therefore, in this life, drop the subtle body itself, not just the physical body. The teaching, I am not the body, or as Ramana Maharshi says, who am I? Both are different ways to look at the same thing, is to not just refer to the physical body, that I am not this body, but not the subtle body too.
Subtle body too, yes. Yeah. I just one question. Is consciousness and presence the same thing?
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
And if presence is seeking us already,
Yes.
why, if it is the only thing that is present, everything else is an illusion, it's unreal, so why can't it overcome our maya?
Presence is not seeking us.
Achha.
We are seeking presence. Presence is all there is.
All that is. We have to understand that we are the presence.
Presence is itself doing the understanding through us, which is the process of inquiry.
Okay, I see. I got my answer.
See now, it appears that your body came from your home and sat here in this chair, and this body is sitting here in this chair. It appears that way. It is a field of presence. This is the appearance. And it is the same presence talking through one and listening through the other. It is not two bodies where one is talking and one is listening. Talking is happening through one and listening is happening through the other, and both events are being played out in your consciousness.
Same source. Basically. Yes. Absolutely right.
If you just wiped out everything that you see right now, you will still hear my voice. That voice you are hearing in your own consciousness. Your own identified consciousness is hearing that voice. Is that voice apart from your voice? It cannot be because it's appearing in your own consciousness, right? It might sound abstract what I'm saying, but if you just bear with me, is this voice apart from you? If it is arising in your own consciousness and subsiding in your own consciousness, is it apart from you?
See.
It is part of your presence. It appears that it's all split and separate. That is why thoughts of hatred, condemnation, blame and guilt, jealousy, envy, pride, arrogance, these are all appearing where? In one's own consciousness. The Maya is what makes us do this,
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
thinking we are separate bodies. So what is the music being played out in your own consciousness? What are your repetitive thoughts? The boy you mentioned was suicidal. Eckhart Tolle, who wrote The Power of Now, said that when we see people on the street who are jabbering away and we call them madmen, he said we are guilty of an even bigger crime. Only we are too smart because our jabbering is internal, we hide it. That man is innocent because whatever is there, he is blabbering away and he is walking on the street. Our dialogue, which we hide from the world, isn't that the true madness? So astrology is a tremendous science when it is used with the right intention.
Absolutely. The intention should be to do good for others.
Yes, not only that, to show. I mean, there's so much which I've met such wonderful astrologers, and there's so much it can deliver to one's life rather than just outcomes of situations and I want this, I want to buy this, I want to sell that, I want to do this, I want to do. Even the tarot, which is what you could call the Western astrology form, European.
Yeah.
Tarot reading today is all about knowing the future, going when there are problems, etc. But the original tarot was structured in such a way that it kind of mapped out your entire subconscious mind in front of you when you dealt the cards. So you could see for yourself what's happening. So these occult sciences were there for a reason. Alchemy is the other one. The alchemist, goal of alchemy is the philosopher's stone, which can convert base metal into gold. So everyone thinks, oh, these alchemists just want to make gold. But that cannot happen unless the alchemist himself converts his consciousness to gold, which is self-realization and enlightenment. If he cannot achieve that, he cannot achieve the external gold. And the beauty is when that is achieved, gold loses its value for what it is materially. Then gold is seen. Why is gold valued? Because it is the perfect metal. It is seen for what it is. Just like we aspire for self-realization and enlightenment, the world of matter aspires to become gold. Silence is golden. Silence is golden means what? Something we've all heard when we've grown up, right?
Small question. Is Bhakti Marg also part of Advaita?
It is, according to me, the same thing. We view bhakti as worshipping an idol or statue, but I think that living Advaita is the highest form of bhakti. Because if all you see is God and not individuals, is that not bhakti? If you see God operating through everyone, including the ones you like the least, is that not bhakti?
Yes.
So you all have come together.
Yes. My close friend is my uncle.
So are they all interested in the subject? Or?
Yeah, they actually are my father's followers only.
Okay.
So now, and of course, very, very close to me. My father was my guru.
Oh,
They
wow.
are my guru bhai. I could put it that way.
Your father was actually your guru. Oh, that's beautiful.
When I
It's
lost
quite
my-
rare, you know.
When I lost my father, I told my close ones that I lost a friend and a guru. Father to third category.
Correct. Yeah.
So I used to do satsang every day with him. 2 hours every day. My wife used to go to the gym. She used to tell me, "You come to the gym with me." I told her, "No, this is conditioning my soul. I'd rather remain with my father."
You could do both.
I could do both, yeah.
That's a very unique relationship.
Very unique. I consider myself blessed that I had a father like him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very great. He lived 4 lifetimes in one life.
Yeah, from what you
Army,
said.
police, then film producer, then spiritual, then astrologer. Totally different, contrasting paths.
Very, very. We were talking about the mind, no? Someone asked Maharaj that I'd like to know what is always at the back of your mind. So he replied, he said, if I have no mind, where's the question of back? Means no thinking mind.
I was just came from Ramana Maharshi. 4 days I was there. It's like the aura of that place is so strong. Like I can even feel now. As soon as I came inside, I felt a very different aura. You know, it attracts like a magnet. You
Yes,
know?
yes.
So aura of that place was like when I had to leave from there. Now, I felt so bad. I felt like not leaving only.
Yeah.
Then I went to Pondicherry for 3 days. My wife joined me there. Then I don't know what happened to me. I had a flight to catch in the night from Chennai. I told my wife, let's go back there. So we traveled 150 kilometers back there. Of course, I wanted my wife to have darshan also.
Right.
And then, but I understood why that it brought me back.
Yeah.
It's like,
That is the presence.
that's the presence. Yes. And from here we are planning. Today we are planning to go. We want to take your blessings. Then we are planning to go to Nisargadatta Maharaj house. Kid party.
Do they allow people there?
I don't know. We're just taking a chance.
I went there once. I
I was
went
already
there.
planning to go from here.
4 years back.
I want to feel the aura there.
So may I suggest one more place for you to
Yeah,
visit?
please.
Go to Bhagan.
So exactly. So Maharaj's guru Siddharameshwar Maharaj,
Yes.
his samadhi is at Banganga,
Okay, we can go there also. Yes. Fine.
and it's Sunday today. There will be no crowd.
Absolutely, yeah.
I must tell you something. I might bore you all a bit. It's a 2-minute story about how I realized my journey began. See, when I went to Ramesh Balsekar, I had no knowledge of who was Nisargadatta Maharaj, who was Ramana Maharshi, nothing. But one day somebody told me in the early days that, Ramesh's guru Nisargadatta Maharaj was cremated, but his guru, Siddharameshwar Maharaj's samadhi is there, and it's very nearby because Ramesh would talk at Gamadia Road, which is a pedal road, and this is Banganga. So I said, come, let's go. Now, when I went there, I saw fear arising. And I could not understand it because it was a beautiful Sunday, it was not crowded, but the fear was arising within me, which was not rational. Then I realized that 25 years ago I have been down this road for my father's funeral. And then when we entered the funeral ground, then I said, my God, why has this man brought me here? You know, because this is where I remember as a 14-year-old boy watching my father's cremation. Now you won't believe it. My friend said, sit here, we have to remove our shoes. So there was a ledge there and we sat on that ledge. And it struck me that as a child I was sitting on that same ledge when I was 14 years old, because the view stays in your memory of anything traumatic or whatever, a major impact event. I said, this is very odd. So now my friend saw me keeping on looking at the funeral pyres. So he said, why are you looking that way? There's nothing there. So I said, where do you want me to look? And he said, in front of you, 10 feet away, was Siddharameshwar Maharaj's samadhi. And it struck me that because Siddharameshwar Maharaj passed away in the 1930s, it struck me at that point that when I was a 14-year-old boy sitting on that same ledge, Maharaj was still sitting in front of me. And the teaching has brought me back after 25 years full circle and placed me back on that same ledge and said, see, this is where you belong. And that samadhi is so special for me. I think to be in its environment, take the blessings is something I would most definitely suggest.
Maybe we should go there.
It's
near the water tank or it's at the...
It's inside
So
the
it's
garden.
on the periphery of the water tank. On one side, you just ask where the cremation grounds are.
The cremation ground is further down.
Yeah, little away.
Yeah, so the samadhi is in the cremation
Yeah,
ground.
yeah. But they made a very beautiful marble enclosure and it's there. And I must tell you something lovely. Me and my wife went there on my birthday. I go very rarely now, but we were coming back from Siddhivinayak. So the thought arose that, chalo, let's take the blessings. So we went there. Luckily, they were doing the morning cleaning. So they do the aarti, the cleaners do the short aarti before the big aarti and all that. And so there are the other Maharajas also are there of the lineage, the statues and that. But they were doing the aarti to an open space on a ledge like this. So we were wondering, what was he doing there? Was there something there we couldn't see? So we asked him, and he said, इधर निसर्गदत्त महाराज बैठ के सिद्धारमेश्वर महाराज का आरती करते थे, तो हम वो उधर करते हैं.
So nice. That's devotion.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope you get to see Maharaj's home.
Yes, that's what we have planned. Should we go to Balganga first or first to
Maharaj's home, there's nothing. They've redone that place and you won't feel anything there.
Nisarga Maharaj place?
I suggest you go to Bangla.
We'll have to see what happens astrologically.
Absolutely, yeah.
In fact, there is a...
Even this is destined.
Samadhi in Mysore.
Where you are meant to go, you go.